Welcome to Pondering Passages. And today we're going to be pondering Psalm 139. This is a psalm that has a twist. And Curt and I are going to take a look at that, and we might end up at a different place than what you normally think about when you read Psalm 139. So we'd love for you to join us as we ponder this beautiful, beautiful psalm.
All right, welcome to Pondering Passages. We are pondering Psalm 139 today, and pretty excited about this. I've really enjoyed this passage throughout the week.
You might not when I'm done with it.
I don't know. I'm pretty excited about it. So we're gonna talk about that, what that looks like. If you're new to Pondering Passages, what we do is every week we read the same passage every day for a week, and then we get together and we talk. What did it do? How did it resonate with your heart, with your mind? What kind of insights can we share with one another? And we haven't talked about the passage at all. We talk about a lot of important things before we turn on the record button, but never about the passage.
No.
And so this is fresh. What you're getting is fresh insights and conversation, and it will rivet you. We're waiting for one of Dave's lamps to catch on fire behind him to really bring some spark to the show.
Yeah.
So if you get to see that, that'll be really cool.
And if you're interested, the guy over there, that's Curt Austin, and I am David Mullins, and we are pondering
Psalms.
Oh. Yes. Well, passages.
All right. Well, show it to us. What's Psalm 139 have to say to us this week, Dave?
Well, it says it is a Psalm of David for the choir director.
That's kind of cool.
And there we go.
We're cutting off one of verse 5. Darn it.
Yes. Well, I think
I don't think there's anything you can do. I just set it up wrong. Look, there is something you can do.
Yes. So when we get there, we can slide out of the way.
So Psalm 139, quite a few verses. I don't know that we want to take the time to read every word. Or do you want to read every word?
Well, no. What I was wondering is, can we go and kind of look at like the broad sections and then come back to the start?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because there's something that's in here that I think is good to kind of take a look at the beginning. And so, this is the first broad, and it is, it seems like a prayer to God. You've examined my heart. You see me when I travel. You know what I'm going to say. The fact that God knows, God sees.
It's like Santa Claus, right? He sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake.
Yeah,
the whole thing.
And then verse 7 talking about there's nowhere I can go that you aren't there. So the first section is kind of you always see me, and then there's nowhere I can go, even down at the bottom. If I've got to do my mouse back and forth, could ask the darkness to hide me, but even in the darkness I cannot hide from you.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get to the fact that God made us. He's the one that knit us together. We are His work. He saw us before we were born. Did I say born? Wow.
I love that movie series.
That is old Indiana speech there.
The Born Identity. Those are great movies.
But then after all of this, this is still part of that last section.
Yeah.
But then we get to this. Oh God, if only you would destroy the wicked. Get out of my life, you murderers. And one of the commentators said that if this psalm ended after verse 18, it would be perhaps the most beautiful psalm in the Psalter. But
absolutely.
It doesn't. It talks about destroying the wicked. I hate them with total hatred. And then search me, O God, and know my heart, test me. And so that's That's the end of the psalm there. So with that in mind, because I think we have to keep that last piece in mind of where this is going to kind of get a sense of what this psalm might really be about. Because my whole vision or understanding of the psalm shifted this week.
Well, keep going. Don't stop. I'm going to let you keep talking.
No, we're back to
we have never had a pondering passages yet where one person just laid out their whole spiel and the other person just listened. So this is a first. This is if you're tuning in and this is your first
you
show,
to just listen.
This is a one of a kind. This is a one off.
Let me.
It's a unicorn.
I was convinced. I was convinced of something. I don't know if I'm completely convinced. Well, let me ask you, Curt. When Psalm 139, when you started reading it, what was your sense of what this was about? What the psalmist was trying to accomplish here?
Well, I don't want to give an answer because you're going to tell me I'm wrong. You're going to go.
No. I'm saying I am in some dissonance because of some reading. So let me see if you're where I started. I guess that's what I'm wondering.
So here is, as I read it, this was my take. All of the verses leading up to that turning point at the very end, at the very last, are an absolute reflection of God's amazing power and direction and love in my life. He knows everything. He knows where I'm going, knows where I've been, knows everything about me, has knit me together. And certainly it doesn't just then live on the fact that, I'm reflecting on God's greatness, but in fact, God made me great. God made me wonderful. God made me one of a kind, unique. This is so special.
Yeah.
But I was talking to Anita about this then a couple of days ago. Anita's my wife. And I was talking to her and I said, but it almost becomes a comical turn at the end, right? God, you know everything. You have made me so perfect. You are so wonderful, but it's only for me. Oh. Everybody else is an enemy. Everybody else is made terrible. Everybody else should be destroyed. I should hate them. Shouldn't I hate them, God? I should hate them. Yeah. And that's kind of where he goes.
Total
hatred.
Yes. Yeah.
Total hatred.
Yeah.
And he goes to that and it's like, I felt that it perfectly captured our human condition, where we want to believe that we have something unique in that God created us just unique and everyone else is of no value whatsoever. And I think it's going back to one of the things we were talking about before we came on here. It's so easy to make that person the other.
Yeah.
Right. That person is another. But what if we said that all of the things I'm reading here in these first 18, 19, 20 verses, in fact, apply to the other person as well, the enemy that I'm supposed to hate? You're not leaving any room for grace. You're not leaving any room for the fact that God also created them, also sees them as completely unique and wonderful. I don't know. That's where I landed.
Okay. When I'm reading this, this is a familiar psalm.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And usually I think about the first 18 verses. I don't think about these four. Yeah. Because really it's four. Because the last two, search me and God know my heart, test me and know my anxious thoughts. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm landed where you did, Curt. I mean, you've examined my heart. You know everything about me. You place your hand of blessing on my head. I know you can't see that, but it's there. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me. And the fact that, and this could be a little bit terrifying for some folks, that I can't escape from your spirit. That everywhere I go, you are. And even if I ask, oh, that's not what I meant to do. Even if I ask the darkness to hide me and the light around me to become night, even in the darkness, I can't hide from you.
Yeah, it reminds me of the Police song, right?
Yes.
Every step I take,
Yes. And you probably know the history of that song, that, people consider it like this beautiful love song, and then Sting came out and said, no, it was written not for that.
It's a stalker song.
It is. It's not about love at all. It's about when love becomes something other than love. And so they wrote that follow-up. What was that follow-up? If you love me, let me go, or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But in my reading this week, the case was made that what this is someone who is almost on trial. They have been accused of something, and so they are making this this plea to God. Basically, Lord, you know everything about me. It's kind of like you know what I've done. I can't escape from your presence. You see everything that I've done. You made me. You know what is in me and everything.
Every day in my life is recorded in your book.
Yeah. Yeah. Everything. Every day.
Every moment was laid out.
And
Interesting.
at that, the turn actually makes sense.
Hey, my version made sense.
Well, okay. All right. All right. I mean, but really, it flows together that now he's asking God. So it's almost like he is pleading his case before God so that he can make this request that God would destroy these folks.
Which then I think also not only destroy those folks, but now verse 23, 24 make a lot more sense.
Yeah.
That kind of turned back around. I'm anxious about this whole thing.
Yeah. And really, I did not want to receive this because I had this beautiful view of this psalm, and it's like, okay, I don't know what these 4 verses really have to do with the whole thing. All of a sudden he just starts going off. But really, if you've been accused of something and you are innocent, this might be the psalm for you. If the only person that you can plead with is God, because God has examined my heart and knows everything about me. God knows that I am not this person that they're saying I am. I've got these enemies that have set me up, but God, you know the truth. So you'd only destroy them. Get out of my life. They blaspheme you. You're innocent. They misuse your name. Shouldn't I hate them? Isn't it okay for me to hate them? Because, I'm on the side of right. I've done nothing wrong, and they're accusing me. Yes, I hate them with total hatred, for your enemies are my enemies. So now all of a sudden, they're not only my enemies, I've made them God's enemies because they misuse your name and everything. I don't know.
That idea of the accusation, it really does align with a lot of the Psalms.
It does
have that same kind of a theme to it. Miscarriage of justice, and where do I turn? How do I process that? That's really interesting, Dave. I like my idea better, but yours is okay. Yours is all right.
Well, see, here's the thing. It wasn't my idea. I'm reading this and I'm thinking, where did this guy come up with this? And then I started really thinking through the Psalm, and it's kind of what's going on here. And it's like, oh my goodness. If I really view it that way, then this actually fits pretty well. And so does this.
Yeah, especially 23, 24.
Yeah.
Search me, O God, and know my heart.
Yeah.
That is really good. And maybe I'm trying to think, does it also apply not just to false accusation? Does it apply to any other context? It seems like it needs to apply, or could apply to another context of not even just a false accusation, but a miscarriage of justice, I guess, is probably the same thing. But
what about like a misunderstanding?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Maybe not as brazen as somebody accusing somebody, but just misunderstandings.
When both people, when people believe what they're saying is right, because we have that a lot,
and it can be pretty heated.
It can be.
It doesn't have to end up in an accusation, but it can be in an absolute. Well, actually, Dave, this is a really good time in our nation's history, where there's a lot of division of opinion.
Yeah, that's true.
And so,
No,
sometimes
there isn't.
But you have to look at it and you think, am I wrong? I mean, is what I'm thinking wrong? Now, I don't know if we want to go to the point where, I hate them, God.
Right.
But to be able to say, God, search me and know my heart. I mean, that is a great prayer.
That is a very good prayer.
Test
point out anything in me that offends you.
Verse 24, point out anything in me that offends you. That's actually, Dave, I think that's the key to the whole passage.
Well, it is for our application, I think.
Yeah. I mean, because you take that and you say, I'm wonderfully made. God, you did all of these wonderful things. But even in spite of the fingerprint of God on our heart and our lives, there's still the potential that we think things that are offensive to God. We say things that actually hurt God.
And if you do take that context that, I either said or did something and it was misunderstood or misconstrued, and I go to God and say, God, you know everything and everything about me, but here are these folks and they're saying this stuff and you know that that's not what I meant, or that's not what I meant by this action. So get them out of my life. They're your enemies and all that. But then you come here and say, but God, if I'm wrong, let me know.
Yeah.
That is a hard prayer, because we think we're so right. And to be open and say, but God, it could be that I'm wrong. So point out anything. So all this other stuff, it goes, but test me.
What a great openness for the psalmist to have, to be able to say, by golly, I am square on, but maybe I'm not.
Yeah.
Palms up to say, maybe I'm not.
So if we were to paraphrase this, do we paraphrase it saying, oh God, I hate them. I hate them. I hate them with perfect hatred. They're your enemies. They're mine. But I could be wrong.
It's almost like he whispers that last part. Well, maybe not. So.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So
I tell you what, if you know yourself, I don't know you. I know me. I know myself. And more often than not, you choose those hills to die on, and then somebody points out the obvious, and you go, "Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, never mind.
Never mind. Go back to what you're doing. Oops.
Oops.
Yeah. Wow.
This is great. Thank you, Dave. Thank you for sharing that. And I think that really helps.
It took me a while. It took me a while to really, I don't know, come to terms with that, because
there we go. Very nice.
I'm here.
For those of you on the podcast, you're unable to see this, but Dave just found a fantastic Christmas background for our video. And actually, that's pretty slick.
That? You like that?
I do like that. I like the fact it's actually in front of our video, right? So I mean, there's like
little tree.
We're in a Christmas wonderland
there. Little snowman down. I'm going to pick his nose.
Poke his nose. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for being a part of this conversation. I hope that it's illuminated what the psalmist was about. Certainly, it did for me.
It did for me too. Because again, I was trying to come to terms with that, and I think I came out at a much better place than even where I was before. And again, that just reiterates that when you get together with someone else or someone else's, more than one, it can really help your understanding of Scripture. We are not meant to be on this journey alone, but to walk with one another along the way.
Excellent. So if you like I've said several times, if this is your first time to be a part of Pondering Passages, welcome. If this is something that you've been following along, great. We're so excited that you have been doing that. Feel free to tell your friends about it, share it on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, wherever you can do that, and join us along on the podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. And we will see you back here in about a week, where we'll do Psalm 140. All right, we'll see you then. Thank you, friends. There was a preacher, and it was his very first Sunday, and he went in and he preached. It was really, really a good sermon, and everybody was really impressed. And then the next week he came back and he preached the exact same sermon. They're like, he must have forgotten. I don't know what's going on.
He was probably older, right? Like us.
Young guy. Third week he comes back, he preaches the same sermon. And they're like, all right. So finally somebody on the way out the door was shaking his hand. They said, it's really a good sermon, but this is your third week in the row. Are you going to ever preach on anything else? He said, well, if you can get this right, I can move on to my next topic.
Oh, that is so good. I should do that.
There's another one about a storm that hit. Preacher was there and a storm had hit, and there was only one guy in the whole congregation who showed up. And he said, there's no reason for me to preach or to go through the service because it's just you and me. We don't have to do it. He said, listen, when my cows, if only one cow comes to the trough, I still have to feed it. So, feel free. So the preacher stood up there. He had really worked on a good one. And it went like a whole 45 minutes, and he was really going at it. And as the guy was going out the door, shaking his pastor's hand, he said, so the thing I didn't tell you, when only one cow comes to the trough, I don't dump the whole load of hay. There you go.